Well, folks, it's officially that time of the year again. Apple just sent out invitations to the media for its next big event. And that means we are just a few weeks away from getting our first real look at not only the iPhone 18 Pro, the iPhone 18 Pro Max, but what could possibly be the most exciting Apple product in the last however many years, the foldable iPhone, also known as the iPhone Ultra, or whatever Apple ultimately ends up calling this device. Now, typically, I like to do a little speculation on the invite itself, but honestly, this time, I would just love for you to do two things. One, subscribe, because we have tons of content coming your way over the next days, weeks, months. And of course, let me know your speculation on what you think this event invite means, if it means anything at all. Okay, so with the invites out, we now have a date to circle on the calendar. Apple's event is going to take place on Wednesday, September 9th, and will of course take place at the Steve Jobs Theater in Apple Park. And this lines up perfectly with the company's usual early September timing. So mark it down, because in just a few weeks, we are going to see everything that Apple has been cooking up for the fall. And there's a lot to get to for this year, so let's go ahead and start talking about the iPhone 18 Pro and the iPhone 18 Pro Max. And let's set expectations too, because this is going to be a bit of an unusual year. Apple is splitting up its iPhone lineup. The Pro and the Pro Max, those are launching this fall as normal, but the standard iPhone 18, the iPhone Air, and then the iPhone 18e, those are going to be in the spring of 2027. So if you want to upgrade in the fall as usual, the Pro models are your only option this time around, and also the foldable, which we'll get to in a second. On the design front, don't expect a dramatic overhaul. The 18 Pro and Pro Max are going to look a lot like the 17 Pro, keeping those same 6.3 and 6.9 inch display sizes, respectively. There are also a few tweaks, though. The camera plateau on the back could get a little bit thicker to fit a new camera system. The phones might be slightly thicker and heavier overall, and Apple has reportedly reworked the back glass so the color of the glass and the aluminum frame blend together for a more unified look. Speaking of color, the big headline shade this year is a deep red. Rumors describe it as a more dark cherry, something with a tinge of purple in it, rather than a brighter red, and it's expected to sit alongside options like a light blue, dark gray, and silver. On the front, one of the more interesting changes is going to be the dynamic island. Apple is reportedly working to shrink it down so it takes up less space, with one leaker claiming it could be around 35% narrower. Now, I'll add a caveat here because not every rumor agrees, so some sources think the smaller dynamic island might actually be delayed to a future model, so this is one that we'll have to keep an eye on event day. Under the hood is where things get really interesting. The iPhone 18 Pro models are set to debut Apple's new A20 chip, and this is Apple's first chip built on a 2-nanometer process. That transition is a big deal because it allows for more transistors, which means better performance and better efficiency. We're hearing the A20 could be up to 18% faster and around 30% more efficient than the A19. Apple's also using a new chip packaging technology that integrates the RAM directly on the same wafer as the processor, which should help with performance, with Apple Intelligence, and with battery life. And on battery, the Pro Max in particular is expected to get a larger cell, continuing its reputation for some of the best battery life that you can get in an iPhone. The camera is another area to keep an eye on. The main camera could get a variable aperture, which would let you manually control exactly how much light hits the sensor, giving you more creative control over exposure and depth of field. There's also talk of a new stacked image sensor for better responsiveness and dynamic range, and an upgraded telephoto with a larger aperture. Interestingly, one rumor suggests the variable aperture feature might be exclusive to the Pro Max, though that's a single source, so again, take these single source rumors with a grain of salt. And finally, on connectivity, we could see Apple's next generation C2 modem, potentially with satellite improvements, though there are rumors that Apple may still lean on a Qualcomm model in the US, and that C2 would be for other regions. Now, before I move on, let's quickly touch on price, because this is the part that's going to sting for a lot of people, especially those who've been holding out and waiting to upgrade. Between rising memory costs and the expensive new chips, the iPhone 18 Pro models are widely expected to get more expensive this year. Some analysts believe we could see price hikes of up to $200 or $300 compared to the 17 Pro. So just keep that in the back of your mind as we head into the event. But okay, let's get to the real star of the show, or at least one that I would think would be the real star, because this is the one that I have been waiting for along with others for years. The foldable iPhone, which everyone inside Apple is apparently calling the iPhone Ultra, although recently we got a few rumors out there that suggest that maybe Apple won't be calling it the iPhone Ultra. Who knows what it's going to be called? Let me know in the comments what you want it to be called. iPhone Fold, iPhone Ultra, etc. Make up a name. I don't care. Let me know down in those comments. This is Apple's first ever folding phone, however, and it uses a book-style design. So think of it like a book that opens up, or, the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 8. You get an outer display of around 5.5 inches that you use when it's closed, and then when you unfold it, you reveal a larger inner display, roughly 7.8 inches in size, which is nearly the size of a small iPad. And it has a 4:3 aspect ratio, and it's going to be short and wide. Again, just look at the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 8. We did a bunch of videos on it. It's pretty much going to be that exact same size and form factor. And here's what people are excited about. Apple has reportedly obsessed over eliminating the crease, which is the big weak point on pretty much every folding phone out there right now. Rumors do suggest, though it's been going back and forth, that Apple pursued this regardless of cost, developing new materials and using a liquid metal hinge to make the crease nearly invisible when the phone is open. In fact, early testers who've gotten hands-on time with the device are apparently really impressed. According to Bloomberg's MacRumors, the people who used it love how it fits in your pocket, they love the feel and durability of the hinge, and they're big fans of the new iPad-like app layouts that let you do more with that larger screen. For the first time on an iPhone, you'll be able to run two apps side by side with sidebars and simplified multitasking setup borrowed from iPadOS. Now, there is one area where the iPhone Ultra might disappoint, and that's the camera. It's expected to have a dual lens system, so a 48 megapixel main and an ultra wide, but there's no telephoto lens. And early testers reportedly felt that could have been a bit of a letdown given how much this thing is going to cost. It also won't have Face ID. Because the phone is so incredibly thin, around 4.5 millimeters when unfolded, there just isn't room right now for the Face ID hardware. So instead, Apple's going with a Touch ID power button, similar to what you'd find on an iPad, or again, just look at the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 8. It'll run the same A20 chip as the Pro models, and it's expected to come with 12 gigabytes of RAM, and it should have one of the largest batteries Apple has ever put in an iPhone. But here's the catch, and it's a big one. Again, it's the price. This is expected to be the most expensive iPhone by far, with rumors pointing at a starting price tag somewhere around $2,000 to $2,500 for the higher storage tiers. On top of that, supply is expected to be tight. There are reports that this thing could sell out fast, and some rumors even suggest it may launch in the US first before rolling out to other countries over the following months. So even if you want one on day one, you're actually probably going to have a bit of a challenge to do that. All right, those are the main headliners, but Apple events are never just about the iPhone. So let's quickly run through some of the other products that could show up, and ones that we know for sure will be the Apple Watch. We're always expecting new Apple Watches every year, and we're going to get the Series 12 and the Apple Watch Ultra 4 this year. But I want to temper expectations here because, according to Gurman, these aren't going to be dramatic updates, and honestly, over the last few years, that's kind of always been the case. Don't expect major design changes compared to the current Series 11 and the Ultra 3. It sounds like we're looking at more of an internal refresh this year, rather than anything revolutionary. And then there's the wildcard category, the home products. There have been reports that Apple is preparing its retail stores for a wave of new home products this fall. We could potentially see a refreshed Apple TV 4K with a faster chip, and a new HomePod mini with an updated chip, improved sound, and possibly even a new red color. The current HomePod mini is getting pretty old at this point, so it's due for an update. And there's even bigger possibility lurking here, which is Apple's long-rumored Home Hub with a display. Now I want to be clear, the device might not show up at this particular event. All of these things might be ready, but rumors are suggesting that it could arrive somewhere in October or even early into next year. So I'm expecting a separate event for these things, but it's just possible, since they are apparently ready to go, that some of these things could show up at the September event. So to wrap it all up, this is shaping up to be a pretty significant Apple event in years, mostly due to that new foldable. You will get the reliable and refined upgrades of the iPhone 18 Pro and Pro Max with new chip and new colors and camera improvements. Again, you've got the very exciting and new iPhone Ultra, or whatever Apple calls its first foldable. And then, of course, some new Apple Watches in the Series 12 and Ultra 4, and maybe some other new things sprinkled in there. But would love to hear from you in the comments down below. Are you planning day one trying to get an iPhone Ultra? Are you going to get an iPhone 18 Pro or Pro Max? Are you going to wait a bit for that foldable and see how reviews and durability standards hold up over a few months and wait for more to come in stock, maybe even drop in price? Let me know in those comments down below. This has been Dan with MacRumors. Thanks so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you around in the next video.